Welcome to Mondays with Mondene, where we explore topics that shape our lives and communities, especially the marginalized. Hey, I'm your host, Edie Mondene. In tonight's edition of Mondays with Mondene, we want to talk about the pros and cons of Portland's shift in the city government structure. We'll be exploring the significant change happening in the city of Portland, the Rose City, as they phase out their commission form of government and implement an entirely new system. I want to dive into the key changes, the backstory, who voted it in, and when. Furthermore, we'll weigh the pros and cons of this transformation and consider the concerns and opportunities it presents for marginalized communities and peoples. In order to gain a deeper understanding of the issue, of course, we've got to get an understanding of what's happening. In the previous system, the city's leadership consisted of the mayor and 4 commissioners. And of course, there was the auditor making up the city council. This setup had these officials acting as administrators of the city's bureaus. Now, there's going to be 3 key changes. We've implemented what we call the ranked choice voting system. Portland has introduced ranked choice voting, allowing voters to rank candidates in order of preference. This innovative approach aims to make the electoral process more inclusive and representative. There will be geographic districts. The city is establishing 4 geographic districts, each represented by 3 city council members. This expansion increases the total number of council members to 12, ensuring that different areas of the city have dedicated representation. Isn't that wonderful? There'll be a shifting in the roles. The new system transitions the day-to-day oversight of boroughs from council members to a mayor elected citywide and, in addition, a professional city administrator. This change is intended to create a more focused city council dedicated to setting policy and engaging with the community. Hallelujah. How did we get to this? The transformation was proposed by the Charter Commission, which is a group of 20 community leaders appointed in December of 2020 to review the city's founding document. They took over 18 months and studied alternatives to the current form of government and engaged with the community through surveys, listening sessions, public meetings, and written feedback. The proposal was supported by 17 of the 20 charter commissioners. In November of 2022, Portland voters approved ballot measure 26-28, remember that one? With 57% of the folks in favor. So what's up with the change? The change was driven primarily by the frustrations of surging homelessness and our desire to make government more inclusive. The sustained Black Lives Matter protests in 2020 and a spiraling homelessness crisis created the conditions for the measure to pass. Now, the group advocating for the change, which is called Portland United for Change, highlighted the need for more representation in our government. Now, why should marginalized communities be concerned? Representation, a big word. Representation. While the shift to geographic districts aims to provide more localized representation, there is always the risk that certain marginalized communities may not be adequately represented in these new districts. Communities must ensure that they are not excluded or overshadowed by other interests. We definitely know Portland's history when it comes to any cloud overshadowing minority groups, don't we? Another concern is implementation challenges. The transition to a new system within a 2-year time frame is dangerous, and it could potentially lead to disruption in essential services and community support. Marginalized communities might be disproportionately affected if the transition is not well managed. there's funding allocations to watch out for. The significant costs associated with the transition could very easily divert financial resources from addressing issues that disproportionately, again, affect marginalized communities, such as homelessness and social services. Advocates need to monitor funding allocations and ensure that critical needs are not neglected. Voter education, a big one, the big VE. Ranked choice voting is a new concept for many, and it may pose challenges for communities within limited access to education and information. Ensuring that marginalized communities understand the voting process and actively participate in them are crucial. Power structures to be. While the new system aims to be more inclusive, there is a risk that established power structures may persist. Marginalized communities should be vigilant about the composition of the new city council and its responsiveness to our needs. Okay, let's talk about the bright side. There's going to be increased representation. The establishment of geographic districts can offer a very unique opportunity for marginalized communities to have dedicated and localized representation. This is a big change. This can enable more tailored policies and solutions to our specific challenges. Community engagement should get better. The extensive community engagement that led to these changes indicates a willingness to listen to the concerns of marginalized people. This engagement can be a leverage to ensure that the voices of marginalized groups are heard in the decision-making process, and we got a seat at the table. The inclusive approach that it's going to bring. Advocates for the changes have emphasized inclusivity. Did I say that right? Inclusivity. Marginalized communities can hold leaders accountable for delivering on this promise and ensure that underrepresented voices are part of the decision-making progress. There's focus on policy. The shift in roles towards a more policy-focused city council could lead to a stronger emphasis on addressing systemic issues, including those affecting marginalized communities. And advocates should advocate for policies that address their unique challenges. More solidarity. Everybody needs unity. The broader conditions that led to the changes in government structure, including the Black Lives Matter protest and concerns about equity, suggest a willingness to address issues faced by those same communities that are marginalized and its people. These communities can leverage their broader support to push for the positive change that's very necessary. Well, that's it, folks, and that's all I've got. But remember, the shift in Portland's city government structure is a significant transformation. It has the potential to address long-standing issues and enhance the representation that was so desperately needed for marginalized communities. Understanding how this change came about, who voted it in, and the concerns and opportunities it presents for our communities is crucial to assessing the pros and cons. We'll be keeping a close eye on the developments in Portland and their impact on this city's future, particularly for us, the marginalized. Thank you for joining us on this episode with Mondays with Mondene. And good night, my peoples. See you next time. And until then, stay alert. And remember, we must pay attention to what's happening around us in the worlds that we live in. And guess what? That's what I said. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and followers. We'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions for future topics. Turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing from Mondays with Mondene. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Bing! A special shout out to our sponsors, Poshine's, not just a restaurant, but an institution. They're located at 8139 North Denver, right here in the Kenton District, and you can expect the best soul food this side of the Willamette. Aunties and Tonties Daycare Services, Adorn Electric, They really light up your life. I'm grateful for their support of this podcast, and you can visit me right here on Sunday mornings at Celebration Tabernacle in Portland, Oregon. A special thank you to our technical staff, Dion, Andy, Robin, and Paul. Not one of them is bigger than the other, and they all stand tall. These are the guys that make this podcast possible. Thank you for joining me once again. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Hey, gang, I've got exciting news. I've just finished my memoirs, and writing them was, wow, a roller coaster, but I'm glad that I did it for me and for you, and it's a way to get to know Edie Montané just a little bit better. What you thought you knew, you didn't know. It's called From Maladies to Melodies, growing up in the South St. Louis projects, and what God has done in my life even to this day. I'm excited to share it with you. Please look for it coming real soon.
Hey, it's time for you to come to Post Shine. Check out that catfish sandwich. Oh my goodness, is that the shrimp po' boy? Man, look at that chocolate chip cake. Man, I need to get over to Post Shines at 8139 North Denver right now because this food looks delicious. Or call if you'd like, 503-978-9000. And don't miss it, you'll be sorry.
In times gone past, we find ourselves making excuses so that people reminded, ooh, I've got to get home and tend to the brand new missus. I need some time alone. Can't this wait until I finish texting on my phone?